Greetings to all of you. I want to talk about the new moon on September 2nd. And remember that we're now moving into the time of the eclipses. This new moon will be seeding the lunar cycle that will come into a partial lunar eclipse at the time of the full moon on September 17th. And then we will have an annular solar eclipse at the time of the new moon on October 2nd. The times of eclipses are wake-up calls. They're calling our attention to what we need to be aware of within ourselves and in our collective experience in order to be in a process of transformation, be in a process of awakening. And remember that this new moon on September 2nd is coming after that very powerful transformational full moon on August 19th that so emanated the energy of Uranus, that energy to cut through illusion, to call us into truth, to support us in letting go of old patterns that no longer serve us, to be in our authentic selves. So let's look at what the energies are of this new moon on September 2nd. At the time of this new moon, the sun and moon will be at 11 degrees in the sign of Virgo. The Sabian symbol for that, the title is A Bride with Her Veil Snatched Away. And the deeper theme or archetypal meaning of this new moon at 11 degrees of Virgo is the unveiling of mysteries. It's time where whatever has been holding us in illusion, what has been hidden, is now to be revealed. The unveiling of mysteries and the expanding consciousness that we're called into. I think it's very significant at the time of this new moon. We have this powerful combination with the outer transpersonal planets. Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus, Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces, Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Pluto has just moved back into Capricorn as of September 1st. It will be in Capricorn until November 20th, when it moves fully into the sign of Aquarius. So this period of time from this new moon through November 20th is a profound time when Pluto, back in the sign of Capricorn, is helping us shed, clear, deconstruct the old paradigms and systems and structures that need to die in order for us to move into the new paradigms of the Aquarian age. So I truly believe this time between the beginning of September and November 20th will be a very powerful time of accelerated change. And Pluto is supporting us in clearing away what still needs to be dismantled and deconstructed in order for us to have this opening, this spaciousness to move into the new forms and paradigms of the Aquarian age. It's significant that so many planets now are retrograde, including these three transpersonal planets, but also Chiron, also Saturn. So remember that when planets are retrograde, it's a time of reflection. It's a time of review, a time of introspection. It's really important at the time of a new moon to take time to meditate and attune to the energies of this new lunation cycle. What is being called forth in you to be birthed anew in this new lunar cycle, to come into fruition and fullness at the time of the full moon? So allow yourself to attune to what is needing to take shape or form, what is needing to be seeded in you to come into more clarity by the time of the full moon on September 17th. And these outer transpersonal planets are supporting supporting you in that time of meditation and reflection. And I think it's significant that they are sextiling each other. So they're very much in synchronization with each other. And I think these transpersonal planets are very important because when we move into the time of the full moon and this partial lunar eclipse on September 17th, the moon will be conjunct Neptune. So this configuration will be very powerful at the time of the full moon, but it's activated now to support us in attuning to these other ways of knowing. Remember that the transpersonal planets guide us in how we open to more psychic, intuitive, spiritual ways of knowing. Uranus guides us in getting these flashes of clarity and insights, guiding us through synchronicities. Neptune supporting us in getting messages in the dream time, in tuning into our intuition, that guidance that's coming to us from spirit. And Pluto, again, is deconstructing what needs to die to support us in moving into these new forms and in helping us feel and attune to what's beneath the surface in this time of transformation. What is it in the underworld that is being guided to be birthed into these new paradigms? Pluto is that planet of transformation, life, death, rebirth. So as it's deconstructing the old forms, it's seeding the new paradigms and helping us attune to that by going deep within. So allow yourself to take time to meditate and open to these other ways of knowing. Because the meaning, again, of this new moon is the unveiling of the mysteries, that more and more what's been hidden will be coming into awareness, into the light of consciousness. And I truly believe that's not only that Pluto, in its final pass through Capricorn, is going to be deconstructing some of the ways that we have been living in illusion and in these paradigms that are about power and domination and control and keeping us from true freedom, empowerment in ourselves, and clarity about truth and justice. So Pluto is supporting that deconstruction of those ways in which the deeper justice and truth has been hidden. But I also believe this new moon is saying, particularly it's beside Vesta, it is in this powerful T-square with Saturn and Jupiter, which I'll talk about in a minute. So it is saying, open to the guidance from spirit, your own inner knowing, the way in which these planets can support us in opening to a higher consciousness and these psychic and intuitive ways of being guided in this profound time. Tied in with that, it's powerful that the asteroid Pallas Athene is now opposite Uranus, sextiling Pluto, trining Neptune. Remember that asteroid Pallas Athene is about attuning to our intuition, our creative intelligence. And it's at 28 degrees of Scorpio, saying, go within, go deep within yourself and listen to that guidance of spirit within you. I also think that T-square that I mentioned a minute ago is very significant at the time of this new moon, with the sun and moon opposite Saturn in Pisces, squaring Jupiter in Gemini. Remember in the last video, I talked about how this square of Saturn and Jupiter is supporting us, Saturn and Pisces, in being grounded in spirit, to allow our faith, our beliefs, our ways of knowing, Jupiter, and our ways of expressing ourselves, Gemini, to be coming from that alignment with spirit, and are being able then at the time of this new moon to give shape and form to how we live that in our day-to-day lives, how we are honoring our alignment with spirit and these other ways of knowing that guide us in this liminal time, in this transition time, to know and trust that we are being supported in moving into these new paradigms and into this higher consciousness. It's also significant that at the time of this new moon, Pluto is in a yod. It is in quincunxes with Mars and a wide one here with Mercury. So this way in which Pluto is deconstructing what needs to break down in our collective consciousness and systems and structures is being guided by Mars and Mercury. Mercury at 23 degrees of Leo. How do we allow ourselves to have our ways of thinking and knowing come from the heart, Leo, and guide us then in our actions, Mars, and in our ways of speaking, Gemini? So as we attune to our hearts and these other ways of knowing, our guidance from spirit, our trusting our intuition, our own inner knowing, then we have clarity about what in our own lives and in our global community needs to be deconstructed for us to open more to truth, to the mysteries of our connection with the oneness of all that is. And let me show you a few other significant configurations in this chart of the new moon when we add in some of the Kuiper Belt objects and centaurs. We now have a powerful grand trine in Earth with the Sun, Moon, and Vesta in Virgo, in a trine with this powerful combination that I've talked about in previous videos of Ixion, Pholus, Ceres, Quaoar, and in a trine with Hygeia in Taurus. I think the meaning of this grand trine is about how we're called to work this configuration in Capricorn that is squaring the lunar nodes. That is, as I've talked about in earlier videos, is about facing our shadow side individually and collectively, to take the lid off, Pholus, to bring into the light of consciousness what needs to heal, to come back into right relationship with each other and the earth, Ceres, and to come back into right harmony, right balance with all that is. And Hygeia, that asteroid that is about healing, is now in Taurus. So it's also about the importance of our healing at the physical level, as well as at the emotional and spiritual levels, to come back into balance, to be able to then manifest in our day-to-day lives what is of service, what is healing in the world, Virgo, and what is in alignment with what is sacred within us, Vesta, and in that connection with our grounding in spirit and alignment with our soul self. Remember that a profound part of what's being deconstructed as we're moving into the age of Aquarius are these paradigms of the past that have been about separation and disconnection from each other, disconnection from spirit, division, power over, conquest, destruction of the earth and of the natural resources around us. It's been a time where we have been caught in that forgetfulness of our true nature, which is that we are a part of cosmic consciousness. We are a part of the oneness of all that is. When we open to that mystery, that truth, then we remember who we are. We remember why we're here. And then we come back into alignment with our soul selves and remember that we are each fractal expressions of cosmic consciousness. Then we open our hearts to that sense of our interconnectedness with all that is. And remember, as Ron Laplace and I talked about, it's when we open to the knowing from the heart that we are connected to the unified field, then we are guided by that higher consciousness. We're out of our minds and that realm of duality and into our hearts and that remembrance of unity consciousness. Let's look now at where these energies are in the sky. As we open to our intuition, as we open to the guidance in the dream time, as we open to our psychic ways of knowing, I do believe that part of how astrology will be shifting as we move into the Aquarian age is we will be coming back into deeper connection with the sky, with the energies of the planets and stars, and how we can experience them in a more direct way. We have the gift of our astrology software and all of our astrological knowledge and how we can interpret charts. But I truly believe as we move into the Aquarian age and we're being guided into this higher consciousness, which is opening up more our connection with our hearts, with our pineal glands, with our capacity to open to the guidance that can come to us from spirit, to open more to telepathic ways of communicating, as well as our psychic ways of knowing, then we can remember that we can be in direct communication and communion with the earth and sky, that we can be guided by the planets by opening to them, meditating and attuning to them, and letting their wisdom and messages come to us. So I encourage you at the time of this new moon, and remember at the time of the moon is invisible. It's hidden from view for 3 days, the day before it goes into exact conjunction with the sun and the day after. And that time of the dark of the moon and the new moon, when the moon is hidden from view, is a profound time to meditate, do shamanic journeying, open to your psychic ways of knowing, open to the dream time and see what guidance comes to you. So at the time of this new moon, ask that your spirit guides would speak to you, would communicate to you in the dream time, would allow you to get your messages in relationship with this new moon and with the wisdom of the planets and how they can guide you in this time. Remember the gift of visual astrology, of reconnecting with the sky, is that it's imagaic, it's poetic, it's more attuning to our right brain ways of knowing. So allow yourself to be in that story, be in that image of what it means that at the time of the new moon, the sun and moon are below the stars of Leo the lion, close to the royal star Regulus, as is Mercury. But the sun and moon are beneath the lion. The ancient Egyptians said, if you're under the stars of a constellation, you're under the care, under the protection of those stars. So at the time of this new moon, we're under the care and guidance and protection of Leo, the lion. And remember, the energy of Leo is coming from the heart with courage. It is about honoring your own creativity and creative expression. It is the sign opposite Aquarius. So as we move into the Aquarian age, we're needing to also honor the energy of Leo how do we live from our hearts and honor that creativity that only we can bring into the world. Then as we're moving into these Aquarian paradigms of wisdom, truth, justice, community, collaboration, co-creation, we can each find our own expression of our creativity that can be in service to that. And this new moon is supporting us in honoring that and attuning to our hearts and listening to what is that energy that needs to be birthed from our hearts for us to express our true selves in the world. And Mercury, being close to Regulus, the heart of Leo the lion, again is a reminder to allow your ways of knowing to be coming from your heart, not from your mind. Let me show you a few other important configurations in the sky at the time of this new moon. And let me also just say that with where Mercury and Venus are in the sky, Mercury will be visible just before sunrise in the eastern sky. Venus will be visible just after sunset in the western sky. So allow yourself to connect to the planets, to take time to go out and honor them, and allow yourself to see them in the sky and commune with them, communicate with them, ask them for their wisdom and guidance. Also, at the time of this new moon, if you go out just before sunrise, Mars and Jupiter will be very high in the sky. And I think it's very significant that Mars will be here in the stars of Orion, right at the upraised arm of Orion. And remember, I've talked about this in past videos, and I want to reiterate how important this placement in the sky is. Because as I've explained in earlier videos, I believe Orion is that constellation that speaks to our evolutionary journey as humanity and our growth in higher consciousness in this critical time in the precessional cycle. And with Mars here in the upraised arm of Orion, remember that the meaning of that for the ancient Egyptians was order arising out of chaos. How is it that our actions and our ways of expressing ourselves, Mars, can be coming from our hearts and this attunement to spirit to be our expression of our actions and our will in the world, to be fostering that creativity, that order out of chaos. In the midst of what is being deconstructed, we're being guided in how to move into these new forms that are about order coming out of chaos, co-creating the new paradigms. And Jupiter will be here between the horns of the bull of Taurus. And remember, Taurus is this constellation that was seen in ancient times to be symbolic of the sentience of all of life, the sacredness of all of life. And the most ancient form of the bull and cow were the aurochs in prehistoric time, in which the horns of the bull were seen as the crescent moon. We now, in the patriarchal period, see the bull as a symbol of aggression and the horns as being caught in the horns of a dilemma, or being on the attack, being the aggressor. But if we trace back to more ancient understandings of the sacred bull, the sacred cow, it is about the sacredness of life on earth and how we're being nurtured and supported to be coming back into connection with the sacredness of all of life. Jupiter is supporting us in that and reminding us of this energy of the horns of the bull as the crescent moon, that energy of the sacred feminine that is being rebirthed in this time. And let me point out one other significant configuration in the sky at the time of this new moon. We have Saturn, which is part of that T square, with the sun and moon opposite Saturn, squaring Jupiter. Saturn is here in the stars of Aquarius. Remember, these are the stars of the water bearer pouring the living waters of life, of wisdom to the earth. And Saturn is in that constellation in the waters being poured to the earth, the living waters of consciousness, the waters of life, the waters of the wisdom of cosmic consciousness, supporting us in unveiling the mysteries and opening to the guidance that's there for us from spirit and from the wisdom of the sky and the earth. So as you integrate all of this, allow this information to percolate within you, but ultimately allow yourself to tune into your heart, to tune into these other ways of knowing, of listening to what's within you and your own inner guidance, to be opening your connection with spirit, honoring your dreams, your psychic ways of knowing, your intuition. We are being guided by spirit in this time and by the energies of the earth and the sky. Their voices, their messages, their guidance are there for us to hear if we allow ourselves to attune to them. That's part of the incredible, exquisite expansion that's happening in this time, is our capacity to open to these other ways of knowing, to remember our interconnectedness with all that is, and the ways in which we can be guided by the energies of the cosmos. We can be guided by the wisdom of our Mother Earth. Then we remember that we are not alone. We are loved and supported, nurtured and guided as we're moving through this profound time of metamorphosis. And then we can also not get caught in fear around what is being deconstructed. We can allow that the way in which the systems and structures that are falling apart are meant to die in order for there to be this space for the new birth, the new forms, the new ways of being, to be revealed and to be birthed and to grow into form and manifestation. And we can be the co-creators in this transitional, transformational process as we open our hearts and expand our consciousness and connect with each other and be of support to each other, to be co-creating with the cosmos, to be in that current of change, guiding us into these new ways of being. Thank you for your part in this community. Thank you for the ways in which you are attuning to your heart and taking time to meditate, taking time to listen to the wisdom that is coming through you. We each have that part of the truth that only we can express and bring forth to be part of the whole. So as we're moving through this time of transition, what we each attune to, the guidance that we each get, is needed in our community, is needed to be emanated into our collective consciousness, to be part of this expansion, to be a part of this co-creation. So thank you for being a part of this community and for your own unique gifts. Blessings and love to all of you. Blessed be.